Here we go. Can everyone hear me okay?
Hello? Okay. If you can hear me, say something in the chat window or go from there. Um, let's see. Okay, so I think we're good. Okay. My audio is kind of shorting out here. Let's see. All right, well, hello? Does that work? Okay, now I'm have audio. That's good. So we're going to get into scene creation over here. Let's go ahead and get started. So this is the glass scene. I'm going to go over how I made it, and then I'm going to share the blend file with you, and then you can explore from there. So so overall, this is what the scene looks like. It's got a glass, it's got a background, it's got a foreground. You've got little raspberries in the background, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're going to go into just the overall scene, and then we'll go into modeling and go from there. So the scene it looks like this. Got the camera all sectioned out here, and got a uh, I've got it all worked out. And then I've got what I did is I took a reference photo from the internet and used that as the reference point. And the photo basically is a picture of a smoothie. I was like, okay, what do they have in the scene that I can replicate pretty easily? And they have a blurred out background, nice depth of field. They've got a table, they've got raspberries, and then they've got this thing, this glass right here. So I was like, okay, I think I can replicate that. So I got the first thing you want to do is you want to replicate the overall world of your scene. So so if you don't, here's what happens when you replicate it and you get the whole world kind of looking okay. It has reflections. You've got nice stuff on your glass. If you're doing anything with glass, it's nice to have reflections or something to reflect off of. This is the same thing without reflections and without the background, and it's just it's kind of dull to me. It does have a few reflections here, but again, it's kind of dull. This is more how should I say, realistic. So um, basically, let's go ahead and get into the world. The world is set up with a background right here with a blurred out kitchen background. I took a kitchen scene background, and then I put that in the into Blender, and then blurred it a little bit using the composite node. Um, it's just a blur composite. And then I put that onto a background here, and it's the matte background. It looked a little bit better than the other option, which is uh, so I basically took this for the reflections and mapped it onto the world. So the world has a environment texture with this as the background and the HDR lighting. It's doing basic lighting stuff on there. It has a ambient occlusion on. So that's the background. For the light, I was playing around with cutouts, and that's the light right there. So there's the basic scene. Let's see. If I'm talking too fast, feel free to say something like slow down or not. I'll go ahead and go into materials next. So I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay. If there's anything that you need to say, just go ahead and say it. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat, or yeah, and I'll see if I can answer them. So let's see. Materials. So this is I'll go over materials and then go into uh, go into modeling, and we'll go into that then. Okay, so materials. We've got a mix shader with a glass and a transparent on there. It looks okay on the node editor. It looks a little bit easy. It's a little bit easier to follow. So this is the glass shader. It's what gives the glass, or not that one. It gives the glass the transparency right there. So it's got glass with a IOR of 1.5, mix shader, another mix shader, and then it goes onto the surface. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go into just basic materials on the other ones, and then we'll uh, go into modeling. So material on this one is another glass. So it's got a very rough surface on the bottom, and let's see if I can get a render going, a small render. And it has small reflections on the bottom, so it's rough. It's rough glass. This is also rough glass. So it's basically a lot of glass and rough glass right there. For the raspberries, you've got I've got a mix shader with a velvet on top and a diffuse in there, and a little bit of subsurface scattering. Doesn't really, it does a little bit, but here's what it looks like when it's off. Let's see, this is what it looks like when it's off. Subsurface scattering, and it just gives it a little bit more ambience, I guess. So there's that. And let's see. So that's basically the materials. Let me go ahead and share the blend file with you guys so that you can follow along when you're ready. So the blend file is, I'll be posting it in the chat. So the blend file to the glass bottle it's called glass bottle. It's really just a glass. It's right here. Let's see. And you can download that. I posted in the chat. And okay, next I'm going to go into creating the glass. So the glass is right here. So there's a couple ways to make the glass. One of them is to do a work your way up from a circle and then go from there. The other way is, since it is mostly circular, is to go and do a spin modifier on top of a bevel. So once you have the overall shape, you spin it. Let's go ahead and do the spin first, and then I'll get into the other way of doing it, and we'll go from there. So basically, you want to start out with, I guess you can start out with a plane, and then rotate here. Okay, so you're going to get the reference, and then basically copy the silhouette of the reference and stop it right about up the middle, and then go from there. So basically it's just copying the reference, which is okay. And then now that we have the basic overlay, um, there's also inside. So we need to model the inside. So here's what that looks like. Let's see. So here's the inside modeled right about here. We want about that width. And then we want to model, it kind of comes out and then goes in here. We want it to kind of peter out right here, then have a bit of a curve right here. So let's see. Let me go ahead and add a modifier. Modifier, and then subsurf. Okay, and then I'll just do that right here. And what we're doing is we're basically creating the outline, and then we're going to spin it. So here's the outline, and then here's the, I'll do a spin pretty soon. So get ready for the spin. Um, here we go, and then let's see, what we cut here. Okay, so the spin is going to help us with this. So we've got that, and then it's going to go all the way around, and this needs a little bit more of a top, and then it's going to spin. So I'm going to go to Properties, Modifiers, Add Modifier, Spin, or Screw. Let's see. So we need on the y-axis, and there we go. So there's the basic shape, and of course you can add another subsurf modifier, and then go from there. This does have some issues that got to get worked out, but it's really easy to modify. Once you've got the basic shape, you can just keep on modifying it till you get the right look. That's one way to do it. So spin. The other way to do it is to do a circle and then just work your way up. So I'll do that. So the circle, and then you create an inside. So you start from a cylinder, you get your basic shape, and then you work your way down with that. So um, basically, that's mostly what there is to it. And then you can also extrude like this, or sorry, extrude, then scale it down here, and then there's that. So now you just complete the bottom, and then you're done. So here's the bottom. Um, here's the bottom right there, and it's going to go right there, and hang on, got this. So there's two ways to do it basically. You can pick and choose which one you want. There's actually probably more than two ways to do it. A lot of different ways to do it. So now that you have your inside and your outside, then you add a subsurf modifier, add a smooth modifier, and then maybe an edge split just to clean that up. And then you're almost done. You gotta move that down there. Okay. So with that said, that will give you the glass look. And then you have the materials. So the materials, basically it's glass, just like that. I'll go ahead and go briefly into the glass and transparent, and then go from there. So it's a mix shader, so I go new, and then a mix shader, mix, then a glass, and then a diffuse, or try transparent, and then Let's see how that looks. So I'm going to go here and then move this over. So basically it's going to look, it should look similar to that one. So let's see. Okay, so you have the blend file, you can see the materials and just kind of go from there. I also have the other shape in there. I've got the smoothie in there. So what that is it's basically extruding the inside and then just duplicating it over. All right, so I'll right click, select the inside, and then duplicate that over, Shift D, P, set by selection. So now you have set, and then you can extrude the top and then go from there. All right, and of course, add a little bit of stuff right there. All right, does anyone have any questions? Of course, add material. If you don't have any questions, I can move on to the other things. Anybody have any questions? No, let's see. Oh, okay, cool. I see that everyone can hear me now. That's good. All right, good. So, okay, so now we're going to go into basically how I created these things. So when you first look at the raspberries, you're like, okay, um, maybe duplicate it a whole bunch of times. Well, yes and no. So these are dupliverts. So these are really cool. It's a really cool tool in the Blender. You can go to your, you can basically parent your mesh onto another mesh and then duplicate them so that they're all copied on each vertice. So that's what I did. I parented the mesh, parent the mesh, and then duplicated. Where's that duplicate? So you go to object, then duplicate right here, and then bam, there's your object. So then I added a material on top of that. So materials, they're all right. Let's see if I can get to that. They are so a velvet material with a diffuse on the mix shader. And then I added another subsurface scattering just for effect, and then went from there and added a little bit of noise texture for displacement. So you can look at the blend file and see that. And this, of course, is a very basic circle extruded inward to make the glass. So there's that. Okay, last but not least, there's the square that it sits on. It is a cube with a bevel modifier on top of it and a little bit of beveling on that as well. So here's what it looks like without the subsurface modifier and the bevel. Here's what it looks like with subsurface and bevel. So it just adds a little bit. Beveling adds a lot to your scene. So we've gotten over lighting, materials, and modeling. And let's see. Next up, I guess we'll do Q&A. Does anyone have any questions, or what questions do you have on this? I'll go ahead and check the questions. Let's see. Any questions? Any questions? No questions. Okay. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and get into the next part, which is Python scripting and polar coordinates and all that good jazz. So I'll go ahead and get into the next part. So this will be, and I'll go ahead and show off what we can do. Why is that there? that is display. Let me turn off that background image. Okay, so this is the spirograph thing, and each one of these is created using scripts in Blender, scripts and drivers. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and create one, then go into a little bit of theory, and then go into more detail. So let's see. First, you start out with, let's go ahead and create this one. So this one, you start out with a circle. Let me go ahead and clear this. Start it with a circle, and let's make it a curve, just because that makes it easier to edit later on. Then we go ahead and add a driver to it. So the thing about this is, if you're familiar with coordinates, if you're familiar with polar coordinates, you can do a lot of really cool stuff. So this is how you add a driver. You press the pound side, and it makes that purple. You can also right click, add driver, or add single driver, and it'll add a driver, which will show up in the graph editor, which is right here. All right, so the graph editor shows these. And right now they're not doing much. Actually, they're not doing anything. So we want to change that. We're going to put in a script here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. This is going to be a pound to add a driver, and then we'll do sine of the current frame times 0.05. So 0.05 comes from slowing down the frame. If it's and then the sign goes back and forth from 1 to -1. So as you can see, 1 to -1. And when I play that back, you've got a nice smooth curve right up and down like that. So now if you duplicate this and then say go on the y-axis and do cosine of the frame, then you've got, there we go. Then you've got 2 axes right there. And if you combine the two, it makes a circle. So sine of frame times 0.05. All right, so now you've got a circle going roundabout, and I'll just go ahead and create one of these. So you know how I said dupliverts were like fantastic in the other one? This is pretty cool too. It's called dupliframes. So dupliframes basically take the frame or the movement right here, and they copy each frame and they make a duplicate of it. So you can see lots of cool stuff. So here you go. That's what is with it on. So there's dupliframes right there. And then you can get in there, and whatever you do to the first one, will do to all of them. So then you can go in and, of course, modify it a little bit, change it up, and then make it look really cool. You can also add a cast modifier, which changes the overall size of it. And I think we're going to need to go to a regular circle if we're going to use that. So it may or may not work here. Adding a little bit of bevel to it. Okay, so maybe the cast modifier doesn't quite work as I expected it to. Oh, sorry, I got an add array modifier first. So if you add an array modifier, it copies it as usual. But then here's something interesting that happens. If you add an object offset, like say an empty, and then you make an object offset, it'll actually animate it for you. So let me go ahead and put down the empty. Let me find what that name is. We'll call it offset. If you call it, if you copy this and then put it into the there, it'll create some really cool shapes for you. So there's it animating for you. All nice and neat, and we're not really doing much. So basically it's taking the offset and it is moving it around for you while it's object offsetting. So it's like, whoa, recalculating for each frame. So then you can go from there and do things like add a build modifier. So build modifier will build it for you, obviously. So cast modifier seems to be working. It's casting into a sphere. I can change that up and then go from there. Yeah, let me go back to the array modifier. So object offset, yeah. So offset here. So pretty much it is duplicating it and cool stuff like that. So yeah, you can do a lot of cool animations like this, backgrounds and that kind of stuff. So that's mostly how I created the one in the middle. I guess I'll go a little bit more detail on that, and then we'll go to another one. So that isn't quite the same, but it's close. Let's see. So this has a curve with a sine and cosine on top of it. So cosine and a sine right there, and that created that. So with a little bit of detail, let me go ahead and go into uh, what I was studying for getting that effect. So this is the basics crash course in polar coordinates. Yay! So you can read more about it at Wikipedia polar coordinates. So this is the main thing that you need to know. So in order to convert from the x and y coordinates of like 1, 1, you use something called a unit circle, and you basically do some math. So you do some cosines and sines. All you really need to know is that the y-axis is r sine theta and the x-axis is r cosine theta. With that, you can convert any rectangular coordinate to polar coordinates and go vice versa from that. So, um, so yeah, so that's what I'm using for making the circles and stuff. So there's that. Let me go into how I created this. This is a helix with another helix with a little bit of an object offset. So the helix basically is a circle extruded many times. So let me go ahead and clear this. So it's a circle just extruded upwards or wrapped around upwards. So we're going to start with we'll start with a cube this time and then go sine of frame 5 and then cosine of frame times 0.05. Okay, and then that'll give us a circle. We'll do duplavert or dupliframe. So we'll have this, scale it down a little bit, and then turn that up. Okay, then we'll have a helix by putting in frame times 0.05. And then we have a single part of that helix. Yay. And then to get the other part, well, we can extend that a little bit. Get that other part, we just reverse the two. So we do cosine for x and a sine for y. That almost did it. So yeah, that's good enough. Then for the other ones, it's basically it's on the z-axis, frame times 0.05 with an offset. Okay, I'm going kind of fast. Does anybody have any questions, or is there anything that you'd like to ask on this. Open up for questions. Questions. Okay. Oh, screencast keys on. Okay, I was looking at the bottom of these questions. Okay, screencast keys on and blend file in the chat. Okay, so let's see. Not in the wrong forum. No questions. I was looking at the bottom instead of the top. My bad. So let me go ahead and clear these. Screencast keys on. Absolutely. Let me turn on those. Screencast keys on, user preferences, screencast keys, add-ons, screencast keys, do I have it? Let's see, it should be an add-on, right? Screencast keys. Well, I'll have to get them for the next one. My bad. So we'll get that for the next round, the next sample. So screencast keys not on. I'll have to download the script and get it. So something about posting the blend file in the chat, but not sure where it is. So the chat is on your left. I think I can copy this over here. So the chat is okay. Let's see. I'm just going to post it here. Can hear you now. Yay. Chat. I'll try to post it as a follow-up, but in the chat it's top. So let me go ahead and get to the next question. Okay, next question. It seems awesome. However, I wonder how hard it would be to implement into my current designs. It'd be cool to have some churning helixes in the arm of one. Yeah. So you could probably churning helixes in arm of one. So okay. So turning helixes. Probably an array modifier would do you well for that. So let's see. A turning helix would be a helix, and then turning around would be object offset. So array, an object offset, and then we'll do have a empty over here. Call this empty. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so okay. What did that do? Okay, so that essentially did something really kind of interesting. So let me turn the count up, see if that. Okay, there we go. So let's see, churning arrays. Not, almost. I'm sure we could probably figure out something to have in the background. Churning arrays. Yeah. Yeah, going from there. Let's go ahead and go to the final one, which is this one. Just a moment. So we're going to go to probably have some questions. Get the blend file. Okay. Cool. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I'll see if I can answer them when I get them. Okay. Dupla frame slower, sure. Let's see. Bo Reshma, can we go over dupla frame slower? Let me go ahead and go into that then. Dupla frames. So Duplicate frames are basically copying every single frame to basically uh, here, 3D space. So you want to find what you want and then animate it, because if you don't animate it, it's going to be sitting there. It's going to have 100 frames just sitting there. So you can either add in a keyframe by doing the I key and then another I key and then going back and forth, and then it'll say 35 frames there, 41 frames there. Then you can go into the object settings, go into frames, duplicate frames, and it will duplicate for every single part of that animation. So if you had something like, say, uh, sign of frame, then that would go up and down. And then if you had something like, say, wait, sign of frame, oh, got a key on it. So sign of frame, then cosine of frame, you can make your circle or ellipse. I think it's going to turn into an ellipse. Let's see. Okay, cosine of frame times 0.5. Yeah, that didn't quite take, so let's see. So now I'm going to go into more detail on scripting with duplicate frames. Let me go ahead and make sure, hang on a second. First, does that answer your question? Duplicate frames going over a little bit slower. If you want more information, you can look up Google duplicate frames. It's very powerful. You can use it for creating lots of different objects pretty fast. So if you have an animation, basically it duplicates it for every single frame. So yeah, I think that's good. So can't find the blend file. Okay, I will post it in the welcome area, so you can see it. It's going to be in um, the Google Hangouts welcome area, and you'll have the glass bottle, and then we go ahead and post the other one as well, which is the Spirographs trochoids. So there are the two. I posted them in the event, so you should be able to see them there. All right. So let's see. Any other questions? Google Hangouts. Okay, got it now. Thanks. Okay, cool. All right, and let me go ahead and clear the. I can hear you now. Good, good, good. All right, good. Okay, let me go ahead and go into creating this one, and then go into a Python crash course, and then we'll go from there. Okay. If you have any questions, just put them in the question and answer side, and I'll get to them. Work with that. And let's see. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're getting a driver. So it looks like the Y driver is not taking for some reason. So I'm going to go down here and troubleshoot. So here are the drivers. It's update driver, cosine of frame, invalid Python expression. So cosine of frame. Usually if you type it in again, it will work. Go figure. Times 0.05. Okay. So now that's in a somewhat of a circle. Or no, that's a sine, cosine, frame, times 0.05. Okay, so now we have that one. All right. So this is getting into the final topic. Actually, let me get into this one first. So this is basically a circle with a lot of modifiers on it. It's got an array modifier that I didn't add because it kind of looks cloudy, but that adds a little bit of complexity to it. It is if I turn all the modifiers off, it is a rotating, just a rotating kind of circle right there. And then you can, of course, change that a little bit. And it looks pretty cool with the duplicate frame on it. So that is, it's having a slight modifier with the sine, cosine, and z. So it's going round and round, and it's offset just a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to that. And then you can, if you wanted to ever apply these, you can, right click and then select object, clear apply, make duplicates real, and then that will make a single, or make it real. So every single one of these is now modifiable, and then you can go into your object offset and just kind of shape it as you see fit. So there's that. Okay. So turning on the cast modifier changes the shape, as you can see, and I've got a lot of applications, so I'm just going to undo that. So cast modifier changes it, and then okay, so changes that, and then the wave modifier adds a little bit of cool stuff to it, and then another wave modifier adds a secondary motion to it, and secondary motion is pretty cool. But yeah, so you can look on that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a message and I'll get to it. Okay, so there's that. Do we have any questions? Any more questions? Any image or environment shader will like the scene, lev.tv. Yes, pretty much. I went on Google and found an image, and you can also take a snapshot of your kitchen or whatever. It looks for all the bright spots in the scene, and it goes and does calculations on stuff. So I had an ambient occlusion turned on. So basically, the scene was for reflections. If you have a scene that you're interested in, you just put it in there, and it will reflect off of things. It's basically a reflection map, but in an environment. So, so yeah, I think that answers your question. So any image will do. So let's go into the final stretch, and then we'll be done. So polar coordinates, we went over that. Let's see, let me turn off the grease pencil. Crash course in Python. Okay, so Blender has this really cool part of it called the Python console. And I think it'd probably be best if I talk about this after I go into what you can do with it. So this is what you can do with it. Well, this is not quite it. It's in a different blend file. Let me go ahead and find the blend that I was in. Oh, wait. That's close enough, I guess. Let me go ahead and open up the different blend file just so that you can see it. Let's see, open recent. Okay, this looks similar. Okay, here we go. Well, that was it. That was it. Okay, well, I'll just go from here and see how far I get. So this is what you can do with it. You can basically map parametric equations onto different different shapes can make up your parametric equations. So this was taken, this is using a modifier right here. And I made some program or functions right here. So let me see if I can slow down it a bit and give you the rundown of parametric equations. Parametric equations are really cool. If you go to Google and you go to Wikipedia and you look at parametric equations, see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. I'll go ahead and share this. Sharing it in just a moment. Okay, here's the, okay, let's see, here we go, parametric equations. So this is, let's see if I can get you the link. I'll go ahead and post the link to the events area, so you should all be able to see it. So parametric equations, basically you can create a lot of really cool shapes, like a spirograph. And that is the basis of what I was going off of. So I looked at the equations right here. I was like, okay, you have your x, you have your y, and you have time. So time is essentially a frame in Blender. So t equals frame times 0.05. A, B, and C, and D are all different parts of just different variables. And then x and y, of course, is plugging it in. So let me get into crash course in Python, and then I'll get into how to put those in, and then I'll show you where it is in the blend file so you can fiddle with it later. So crash course in Python, Python, here's your Python console, and then you can go in and you basically you can type in things and it pops out answer or results. So you can set your variables, x equals 5, and you want to make sure you have proper spacing. Python does like proper spacing. X equals 5, x equals, or y equals 6, x plus y, you know, it pops out answers. So that's variables. So whatever you set equals something like test equals hello there. You can type in test and it says hello there. Let's see. You can also do things like setting if statements. So if statements like right here, if x is 0, you can say if x equals 5, and let's see. Well, actually, you can do Boolean, so x equals 5. You say if that's true or false. It's true. Okay, so you can say if x equals 5, if x equals 5, or if this condition returns true, then do something. So you can say print hello there. I think I need parentheses. So then that will say it's true, so it turns, hang on a second. Okay, yeah, I just got that. Switch back to my Blender screen. Got it, okay, switching back to my Blender screen. My bad. Okay, thanks for the comment, appreciate that. Switching back here. All right, so where was I? Parametric equations in Python. So let me start out with the Python script. That's a good place to start. Can everyone see this okay? Assuming you can. So let's go back. Okay, so first thing you need in a Python script is you need, well, you need functions and stuff. So this is basically importing all the Blender functions for Python on the import BPY. import math as m, that's saying import all the math functions and then assign them to the letter m. So that's the variable m. So um, so let's see. This is how you create a function in Python. It's basically define, and then you have your function right here. So you can say define, and then this will give you the function. This will give you input. So this is basically like a container for things. So they're containers for code. That's what functions are. So like normal containers in a fridge have food. These have code. So that's this. It's a crash course. So you guys got to ask questions to give me some more guidance on if you're getting it or not. Let me show you how to edit what I have here, so that will be useful to you later on, just in case that's all you get from it. This is basically an equation found from the parametric equation Wikipedia, and we'll go from there. So, okay, cool. So we're going to go into something with parametric equations. So this is basically what I'm doing here is I'm basically creating a method, which is right here, or a function as you would say. And then it's going in and it's registering right here to the driver namespace. And it's going all the way to the graph editor, and then it's going to be available in the scripted expressions. So that's what makes it available here. So if I wanted to, say, put the torus in there, I would do type in torus. Actually, I'd run the script first, so it'd register. So these are all registrations. You can find more information right here on how to register functions to get into the script expressions. So if I did a torus, it's a lot easier to do it up here actually. So the torus up here is type in torus, and then the axis, which I set to 0 for the x, 1 for the y, and 2 for the z. And then the frame, I'm just going to do a pass through. Big R is, put that as 3, little r for the radius is 1, then u will say is 2. Okay, so what that did is that created a very lot, or a whole bunch of points. So then, so that went through and it went to this one. So t is frame times 0.02. Then I need to put that into the other ones so that this gets set. Okay, and then z is going to be 2 for the axis. Okay, and then there you go. You have your torus shape there, and then you can of course change up the parameters a little bit, and then go from there. Okay, so there's the torus. I got this from Wikipedia. I got it from the equation from there. Let's try another equation. It's basically turning Blender into a plotter. So go ahead and duplicate that. Create just going to do a parametric 2. So this one, let me know if everyone is following along. So basically you type in the name, it's registered, and then type in your axis, so 0 for the axis, for the x-axis, and then frame for the pass-through, then J and K, 2 and 3, A's, and then you can leave off the other ones, that's optional. So that gives you that, which looks mighty interesting. And then you can just copy and paste it down here and just change the axis. So parametric 1, okay. And then that gives you that shape. So then you can change up the J and K, and Wikipedia has more info on all these different shapes and what they look like. So yeah, with that in mind, you can create all sorts of shapes, and you can use Blender as a grapher, and then you can do things with that shape. So like you can like make this a really cool background, or you can extrude this out and make a really weird kind of thing. You can rotate it, and then before you know it, you're creating abstract geometry that you can sculpt and put into a 3D printer if you wanted to. So there's that. You can also add in different parts to this. So I think I've explained, or I've gone through the parametric equations, how you can use them in here, and how to register them. There's more information right here. I think one final thing is I'll create something using all these and then call it a night. Let's see. First, let me get to the questions, see if there are any questions. Are there any questions? So with parenting, you can reposition this and also rotate it. I'm totally lost when it comes to scripting, but I get a part of it. Okay, cool. Thanks for mentioning this. Yeah, so basically you need a parent to reposition the thing in Blender, because right now it's like, it's stuck. So basically you'd go and create an empty and then parent it, and then you'd be able to move this object, and it would keep its form, because right now it's just duplicating all over the place, and it's going based off the animation. So yeah, you need to apply a frame right there. Okay, so created a torus, created that. Let me just go ahead and create one final thing and then call it a night. Thanks all for coming. So we'll start with a cube. Okay, so this cube, I'm going to put in a sine of frame times 0.05, then cosine frame times 0.05, and then you can add secondary motion as well. So I'm going to add the frame so that I can see it, and make a circle with it. Okay, now I'm going to rotate it by frame times 0.08 on the x-axis. So that creates this kind of weird looking thing, and then scale it on the y-axis times, let's see, 1 plus sine of frame times 0.05. Need that pound in there. So pound 1 plus frame let's see, sine of frame times 0.05, and then that will give you a scale that you can see. That's it. Basically, it's creating it, and then it's rotating it and scaling it as it goes, and then drawing each single frame based off of that. So then, let's see, you could rotate that around a little bit, scale that around. So there's that. Oh, okay, and add secondary motion. So let's try a cosine of frame times 0.05 squared. Let's see if that gives you a little bit of mix-up, I guess. Then you can also change the shape and change the original shape, and it'll create all sorts of things for you. Let me go ahead and Control Z that, and go ahead and add a array modifier, and then go from there. Okay, so offset and offset. So there's that, offset, scroll. See, so there's that. It's actually an empty. So let me see, empty 18, empty 18. Here we go. Okay, so this is let me go ahead and scale this a little bit. This is basically creating an array and then offsetting each one by quite a bit. And it's kind of hiccuping a little bit. So let me go ahead and pause that. But this can create a background pretty fast. So if you look at this duplicate frames with it off, you can see what it's basically doing and be able to manage it a little bit easier. And then if you turn duplicate frames back on, it'll create all the fancy stuff. So there's that. Yeah, let me go ahead and scale that down. So this is what it's actually doing. Okay. So then you can go from there and say, well, maybe I want to make it smaller. Maybe I want to make it closer. And maybe I want to copy the size or something. And then you can go into the frames and it will go in there. And I think the scale is throwing it off, so I'm going to delete that driver. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that is how you can create really cool animation of all this kind of stuff with a little bit of time and modifiers, and it all comes together. So yeah, so this could make a cool background loop or something. So let me go to questions. Can you use those drivers scripting approach in other places in Blender or just the XYZ? Oh yeah, you can use it in, let me go ahead and put this on the main. Bo Reshma says drivers in scripting or the XYZ. So you can basically create any, let's see, any kind of scripting with drivers. So basically anything that has a number, you press pound, boom, there's a driver. So the driver would be right here. So then you can register the driver and say, put them in, you can put a parametric in there. So relative offset, it's not really easily seeable. Wait, maybe it is. No, not really. So object offset, let me see if I can find one that you can use. Um, that would be interesting to use for a script. So let's try that. Pound sine of frame times 0.05. Let's see what that does. Didn't quite work. 1 plus, all right, 3. Ha, okay, 3 worked. Frame, it didn't work. Try this one more time. Hey, it's slowly incrementing. That's good. Let me try frame. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. Start frame, end frame. This might crash it. Let's see. 1, 2, frame, modulo 360. Try that. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, that creates a growing effect as it's slowly incrementing. So it goes from here to here, and you see it increments. So you can also do things like put in the torus or something parametric, 2 axis, 0 frame, and then 3, and then 4, and then it'll spit out some results from that, or it should anyway. It's not liking that. So I'm going to go over here, duplicate frames end, update dependencies, driver. Okay, so there's apparently something I'm missing here. So it sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not quite sure why that is. So anyway, I know this will work. So sine of frame and then times 5. That'll work. So yeah. Oh, look, it's blinking. So you can do things like that. Yeah, okay. I think that answers your question. Anybody else have questions? Are you a modeler or a scripter? That's a good question. Donnie or Dion J. I am a little bit of both. I'm mostly a scripter because that's what I went to school for, but I like modeling. So thanks for asking. I think, yeah. So when I look at this, I don't so much imagine as abstract, but how it apply like special effects. The torus one is really cool. You could have it going out and shrinking, um, shrink each to 0 or something. Awesome, like teleportation effects. Oh yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. Well, that is pretty much it. Thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, feel free to answer them or feel free to ask them and I'll see about answering them. Yeah, so now is Q&A, and then I think that's it. So yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. So if anyone's got questions, you can feel free to stay. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a night. So yeah, all right. So what do we have here? Did everyone get the, oh, hi. Did everyone get the blend files? Is everything good with that? Yeah, I think it was. All right, cool. Okay. Um, all right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message and go from there. Thanks.